What's up guys, welcome back to Grafting Dragon Fruit. It's Richard, and in this video tonight I'm going to be showing you guys my daily night routine. But before I do all of that, I gotta make sure I grab all of my supplies, and let me show you guys what my supplies are. So I just got this new light. It's a Arc Field Pro by Olight, and it's an everyday carry portable light with 3 light sources. And I've been loving this light because it's so small, compact, and I usually have a headlamp on, or I bring out this big lamp that I would carry one hand, and that's just way too much because I have to carry other stuff with me, and it makes it really hard for me to do all of that and to like switch things around. So this small light here, it's actually been such a clutch to my daily night routine because it's small, compact, and it also has this latch here. So if I want to just put it on my shirt or put it in my pocket and pull it out anytime I want, I can. And it's even portable charge, so you can use this and recharge it anywhere you want. So if you run out of battery, just toss it back on this charger. So if you guys are ready, or actually there's 2 more things that I bring out besides my light. This is the most important things because I need to see, but I also bring out my pollen brush per usual. I have my stainless silver bowl if I need to collect any different pollens that I want to save tonight for a different time to pollinate. And of course, I brought out some pollen if I need to cross-pollinate tonight, and this is Robles Red. So I'm going to use this pollen if I need to cross-pollinate anything. So I have pollen, my bowl, my brush, and then most importantly, my flashlight. Again, this is my Arc Field Pro by Olight, okay? So you guys want to check that out. I'll leave it in my description. If you guys have any comments with it, just leave it below and I'll try to get to see you guys, okay? All right, so let's turn on this light. This is what I do, guys. I literally just turn on this light. And without my cameraman, he usually has a light that is, following me around to film. But tonight, this is how it is for me every day or every night. I come out here late at night. I don't want a super bright light that's just waking up my neighbors. And I come out here and I'm just quickly looking for flowers that's blooming, so that way I can pollinate tonight. And look at how powerful this light is, you guys. It is so strong. It's getting me, and it's even lighting up the whole area of dragon fruit, just perfect amount. So that way I'm not accidentally brightening up my neighbor's house late at night where they think the police are coming to catch them, right? So as you guys can see, we're going through everything. There is no flowers on this side, so let's just keep walking and see what we have. Okay, so you guys can see my neighbor's house is right back there, and if I shine my light right back there, you can see their house. It's so bright, right? So I don't want to do that, so that's why I have this compact light, so that way I can just shine it down. And we're going through all of our trellises, and so far so good. We don't see any flowers yet, so let's just keep moving along, guys. Really loving this Asunta 608. This one took me 3 years to bloom and finally have a fruit, but it's starting to look very promising. So I'm very excited for this fruit to finally ripen so I can try it. But that's not what we're here for tonight, guys. We're pollinating dragon fruit. But again, late at night, it's nice and cool, so I can stay out here a little longer. So having this light is really clutch because I can come out here and really just stare at the fruit as long as I want without getting sunburnt. But I will get bit by mosquitoes, so that's something you gotta be worried about. Okay, so we are, boom, exactly what I was looking for, you guys. I'm out here, I see a flower, and this is Desert King. And that is why you need a flashlight and all of your tools when you are starting to pollinate your dragon fruit, okay? So now that I see a flower, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, this is small enough that I can just, latch it anywhere. So I'm just gonna put it right here. And that's bright enough for me to see everything, even though it fell. So let's go ahead, try to make it not fall. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay, that's good enough. Oh, actually, I can move this branch and just put it in there. And look at that. Tell me that is not cool, you guys. My hand's free. Light is blooming, shining right at this flower. And if I were to take pictures, this would be such an epic dragon fruit picture. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pollinate it. I know that this is a self-fertile variety. This is Desert King, but it doesn't have pollen. For some reason, Desert King is very bad at producing pollen. So let me just grab some of these anthers out. And usually these anthers here would be filled with pollen, but as you guys see me move it, no pollen at all. We have lots of anthers, but no pollen. You guys can see there's no pollen. So what we're gonna do is, sometimes this does happen. For some reason, Desert King is one of those varieties that does not produce a lot of pollen. So we have some rolled red pollen here to help it pollinate. So this is called cross-pollinating. This is one way to get your self-sterile varieties to have fruit. And this is another way to create a new dragon fruit variety. So in a way, we're doing hybridizing tonight by cross-pollinating these pollens. So Robles Red to Desert King. Got it on there. My light's shining right there. And here we go. And this is all we need to do, guys. Get all of that pollen on there. It's good. And I like to go in one more time to make sure I really get everything. And I'm really dabbing in that middle. I'm even getting the sides. So now I know that that is pollinated. Okay guys, that's one flower for tonight. And you guys saw how useful this light was. I was able to prop it up, pollinate my dragon fruit, and now I'm on to my next trellis. So let's take a look here. This is my wild berry Skittles with Asunta 6. Looking good. All these fruits looking happy. No flowers. Here's my Asunta lineage with Asunta 3, 4, 5, and Sunset Sherbet. No flowers that I can see. Pelora, they will bloom or have buds later in the season. So right about September or the end of September, we should start seeing more buds, but they can come a little earlier if the conditions are right. No, nothing. And here's the newest Asunta 7 seedling. They have been growing very nicely. Check that out. Can't wait to try this fruit once it's fully ripe. I pollinated on August 6th, and now we're just waiting for the fruit to be finished so we can see if it tastes good. Here's Pink Laverne and DK16. Lots of fruits, but no flowers. And here's the Pelora that I was talking to you guys about. This one already, they usually bloom in September, but I already see a fruit there. And I pollinated with its own pollen, and it looks great. It's growing big. And we also have another bud growing right there, guys. Super cool. Let me try to see if I can use my laser pointer, just like that. That right there, right next to the laser, is the dragon fruit bud. So you guys saw that, right? I switched it. There's 3 sources of light that I can use: the UV, the laser pointer, or the bright blue lights. So that was really cool. All right, more Pelora, wild berry Skittles, Asunta 6. And we have this huge red Laverne that I should harvest tomorrow. So we'll save that for tomorrow, okay guys? But if we go back here, this is a tight squeeze. And this is why it's important to visit every single one of your trellis as your daily night routine. Because you just don't know where the dragon fruits or flowers are blooming, and sometimes they're hiding, like this orange dwarf here. So I found another one that needs to be pollinated, and luckily for me, this one is self-fertile. Orange dwarf is self-fertile. I got this from my friend Lopaka in Hawaii, and he said that he's pollinated with its own pollen and it works fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my light back down, just like right here. Perfect. All right. Now that I know that it has pollen and this is a self-fertile variety, I don't need to use my Robles Red pollen. What I can do now is use my silver stainless bowl and go ahead and knock all of the pollen in there and use its own pollen to pollinate itself. Oh wow, and this one is not like the Desert King that we were just at. This one actually has a good amount of pollen, you guys. Check that out. We are loaded. It looks great. So Orange Dwarf is a self-fertile variety. We can use its own pollen. As you can see, the anthers are a little bit far. The anthers are a little bit far from the stigma, so they're not touching. So if they were to touch, they would have been self-fertile and self-pollinating, but since it's not touching, it's only self-fertile. So what I'm going to do now, let's go ahead, use its own pollen that I just collected in here. I knocked all of that in there, and now we're using its own pollen to self-pollinate itself with its own pollen because it's self-fertile. And that's it, guys. So the rest is you just date today's date. Today is August 19. I'll write that on a branch to know when I pollinated that, so I know that it's great and it's set. And if the pollen doesn't work on itself, then I know for sure it's not self-fertile. but I know it is, so we're safe here, guys. And that's it. Our last trellis is Lisa over here, but Lisa does not have any flowers. They already have a bunch of fruits, as you guys can see, some new buds coming out. And yeah, they're looking really cool. Let me try this UV light and it makes it, oh my goodness. Isn't that crazy, you guys? It's turning the green skin red when I use my UV light. Wow. This is so cool. Let's check out this one. Oh, okay, let me just show you guys what it looks like with white light. It's green. It's a green fruit. The minute I change it, it turns red to the UV. It looks so cool. Wow. All right. So I thought that was really cool. Fun light to have, compact, easy to use, made my pollination process a lot easier and coming out here and get everything done without having so much stuff in my hands. So that's really cool. All right, guys, I'm finished with my daily night routine. That's all you have to do. Make sure you guys come out here right before you go to bed or right when it gets dark, so that way you won't miss any pollinations. It's best to pollinate your dragon fruits at night just because it's gonna ensure that it accepts their pollen. It still works too early in the morning, but sometimes we forget because we wake up, we go to work, we take our kids to school. So doing it right before you go to bed is gonna be the best, okay guys? So grab your light, grab your bowl, brush, and go outside and be the busy bee that you are and pollinate all of your dragon fruits so that way you guys have tons and tons of fruits. All right, guys? Okay, so if you guys enjoyed this video and thought it was helpful, please hit the like button. If you guys have any comments with anything I just did tonight, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. And if you guys have not subscribed to this channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that way you guys won't miss a single thing. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of Grafting Dragon Fruit. Peace. How often do I water my dragon fruit? And to answer that, it's pretty simple. I use these rules here to help me identify when I need to water my dragon fruit. The first step is I'm gonna go to my dragon fruit and check the soil. Before I give you guys how often I water them, I wanna teach you guys about checking out your soil before initiating a watering, okay? So what I do is I'll come in here, I'll poke at this soil, and it still feels pretty, dry, but you don't know until you really go down in there. So I'm gonna take my finger and I'll poke it in there and I'm gonna pull it up and you can see that it's pretty dry. And what I do is I take this soil and I clump it up like this, and if it doesn't clump, then it's time to water. So the rule of thumb is, guys, stick your finger about 2 inches into the soil, and if the first 2 inches is dry, just like how you guys saw me, then it's time to water. And if it's wet, then you guys can give it a day or two, go back out here, check your soil to see if it's already dry, about 2 inches from the top, and then you guys can water. So how often I water my dragon fruits? For me, in California, during the summertime, I water my dragon fruits about every 3 to 4 days. And like I said, this number can change depending where you're at. It can be a lot hotter in your area, more humid in your area. So, and even if your dragon fruit sits in shade and is hot, the soil can actually dry a lot slower. So that's why I taught you guys to check your soil first before you guys water, because those variations can definitely change when to water your dragon fruit. So for me, where I'm at in Southern California, Anaheim, I wait about 3 to 4 days before I water my dragon fruit, and that's during the summertime. For the winter time, I know you guys are gonna ask me this, how often do I water my dragon fruit during the winter time? In the winter time, because it is so cold and it doesn't get as hot as during the summer, I actually don't water them until 2 or 3 weeks later. Sometimes it even rains in those 2 or 3 weeks and I just don't water them. So it could be up to a month before I go out to water them. So use that gauge, you guys, that soil tip that I just showed you guys. Go out there, grab your soil. If it's dry, water them. If it's still moist and you can hold it and it clumps up and it stays as a clump, then your soil is still good. So it's really important to not water too much as well, because if you guys do that, the roots can actually start to rot. You're gonna get suffocation and then your stem will start to rot, you guys. So let the soil dry back. Will the same branch fruit again after the bud is removed or abort? And the short answer is no, but let me explain to you guys why. So if you guys take a look at my Sunset branch here, this is Sunset Sherbert. She is a very productive producer, but some of these are actually aborted and some of these have been taken off And even some has fruited and I clipped it off. So you can see here, this is a clear indication that I've clipped this fruit off because this is my shears cutting into that V to take my fruit off. Once that happens, I've actually removed the active node. So right here is all of the active nodes. You guys can see this. Sometimes they'll have spine on them, but as they get older and you start touching them, they'll start to fall off and you're just left with these nodes here. So these nodes can actually grow fruits again. So as long as you guys have more nodes on here and they haven't been spent yet, they're gonna fruit again. They'll start to bud, flower, and you guys can harvest fruit again. But if you take them off, like this bud here, this one started to turn yellow. There was too many fruits on this branch, so you're gonna have to force yourself to take some of them off. And if you don't, nature's just gonna take its way. It's gonna turn the bud yellow, and then eventually you're gonna see that and you're gonna wanna take it off anyways. So that's what's gonna happen once you take off the bud or the fruit. It will not bud again, but the same branch still has nodes. Those other ones will still fruit for you guys. What pot size is best to grow dragon fruits? So you guys, as you guys have made known already, I've been growing all of my dragon fruits in 20-gallon pots. There's nothing wrong with growing them in 20-gallon pots, but what I've noticed is if you give them more room to grow, they can actually grow even bigger and be more vigorous with growth. If you ever see dragon fruit farms that put their dragon fruits straight in the ground, they grow like crazy, and the dragon fruit plant actually gets way bigger than it would in a container. So to answer that question, if you can find 25-gallon pots, this would be an ideal environment for dragon fruits. Because if you guys have been building my trellis, and you can find all those videos in my channel, there is a version where I make the trellis with a cement block. So the cement block is actually pretty big and it's taking some room in this 20-gallon pot. I didn't think it's an issue, but over time, as your dragon fruit matures, those roots are gonna get so compact in there, they're just gonna want more space. And ever since I put them in my garden here, I started seeing roots actually grow out of the holes here and implant itself into the ground. So I know that they can actually take more root space. Even though there's nothing wrong with this, they just will be more happier if you can give them a bigger environment. There's some people that I know that use the 50-gallon drums, and they'll cut those in half and use those as dragon fruit pots as well. And I think that's a really good idea to recycle those drums. They're those blue drums, and you know, they grow great in them. And I can see that all of those people that use those drums, they're a little bigger than 20 gallons. So when you cut those 50-gallon drums in half, it becomes 25-gallon. So just like what I have here, this 25-gallon, and they grow so vigorously. So if you're using a trellis with the cement block, it's gonna go in here and it's gonna take up some of that root space. But with the 25-gallon, now you're allowing a little bit extra room for more roots to, you know, just grow in there, be happy, and then eventually become a big dragon fruit plant like this. So to answer your guys' question, 25 gallons if you guys can find it, but if not, 20 gallons works as well. How to tell from a bud or branch. So I've been saving this branch here just for this specific explanation, and I'm so glad that this example happened, so that way I can show you guys exactly what we're talking about. So this is my Asunta 6 dragon fruit here, and you can see clearly a bud and a branch. But sometimes the bud and branch is just so small, how can you guys tell? So one way to tell is when you're looking at a dragon fruit branch, it's gonna look something like this. So we look straight right over ahead of it. You're always gonna see 3 edges here. 1, 2, and 3. And you're gonna get either a red or a pink tip right at the center. And once it grows, let me try to focus so you guys can see that. Once it grows, it looks something just like this. It's gonna be hidden, and you're just gonna see edgy, non-smooth, contoured edges. So that's kind of an indication that you know it's gonna be a branch. And for a bud, they are always gonna be like a little bit more round. I call them buttons. So they look like a button once they start to pop out, and it's actually very tiny. But one way to really tell is they have a different color to them. They don't get pink or red like this, but they get a little bit darker in the maroon red side. And the edges are gonna be smooth, just like this. and you're not going to see the three-sided edge. Everything is just going to look smooth like a little circular button. So that's how you guys can tell from a bud or a branch. And in a situation like this where you have a bud and branch, you guys are going to want to actually remove this branch, because if you have this bud here, this branch is stealing so much of that competition from the bud that it's going to grow very slowly. And if the bud is like, hey, I have competition here, what's the point of me being here? Why am I even growing if the branch is taking all of that energy? So the best thing to do once you guys see this is remove the branch, guys, just like this. So now your dragon fruit bud is going to grow happy. It doesn't have competition with nutrients anymore, and it's going to bloom sooner than later. So that's how you guys can tell from a dragon fruit branch or bud. When's a good time to tip your dragon fruit branch? And what tipping means, guys, in the dragon fruit community is just cutting off the ends of your dragon fruit. So we're gonna see a tip here. You're gonna clip it off. You're gonna take off 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and that's what tipping means. So I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of variations here. There's no right or wrong way to tip a dragon fruit, but to my personal preference, I wait until the branch gets about 18 to 24 inches. So that's about 2 feet long before I decide to tip a dragon fruit. But I do this because I wanted to create a beautiful umbrella canopy. If the branches are too short, they're just gonna sit on top of the trellis and it's not gonna really canopy out. So if you tip a dragon fruit too early, yes, they can still fruit, but you're not gonna get that amazing canopy that you guys see on all of my dragon fruits here. So leave it as long as you want, but don't let it get too long where it's almost touching the floor. And once you're harvesting fruit, you're gonna have to bend over and it's gonna be a little hard to maintain. And a good time to tip your dragon fruit would be early spring. That's when all of the dragon fruit starts to wake up from hibernation during the winter, and you're gonna see a lot of new growth popping out. Dragon fruit buds and flowers don't come out technically until the summertime. That's when they become very productive with flower production. So that's why you're tipping your dragon fruit in spring, to prepare your dragon fruit to get some buds. And this also helps induce more flower buds and new growth. So that way, when it's summertime, you're gonna see all of this productivity, and it's because you tipped your dragon fruit. So let me show you guys some examples here. Here's a dragon fruit that's about 7 inches long. It was tipped by accident because I was just maintaining all of these other fruits here. But as you can see, even though this branch is only 7 inches long, we have a dragon fruit flower bud right here, you guys. And this is gonna fruit and flower just fine. As long as the branch is mature, or if your whole plant is mature, it has enough energy for it to produce a fruit. Here's another example here. This one's actually even smaller. It's about 5 to 6 inches. But as you can see, the tip actually has a flower bud on it, you guys. And here are some long ones that I tipped about 2 feet long. I tipped them, and look at all of the buds I have here. And eventually they'll bloom, and you're gonna get a chance to pollinate them and then receive an amazing fruit.